gonna stick with the NBA, but go to the West Coast, the left coast, and talk about the LA Clippers. And they are, of course, adding Russell Westbrook on the buyout market, not costing them much money at all. They picked him up after Utah bought him out, and they believe he can help them make a run at the championship, which will be the first in the franchise's history. This was yesterday when they introduced Russ. Ty Lue, the head coach, talking about what he expects and wants from Russell Westbrook.
If he's doing too much or not enough, I'll let him know. But we want him to be the player that he is, the MVP, the Hall of Famer, everything he brings every single night. And so we want him to be that person, that player. And then we just got to make sure that it's in the confines of our team and what we're trying to do team-wise.
I love what he said, Chris. I love what he said. Like that's the way you want to introduce or invite somebody into your team, is by saying, we want you to be you, the MVP, you're a Hall of Famer, like all the accolades there, right? He did that. But in the confines of what we're doing as a team. Am I right, Chris? Right. I mean, Ty Lue said it perfectly. We want you to play like you've been playing, but in the confines of what we're doing here. And I believe, Chris, Ty Lue is the right coach to make that happen. I really believe that. I've gained a ton of respect watching Ty Lue more, Chris. Not that, when you have LeBron and Kyrie and, and other players of that ilk, you could overlook the coach.
Right.
What he did with the Clippers, when you remember what we saw with Doc Rivers and the debacles that they were having.
His mentor.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
But they were debacles, Chris, right? We got to admit that. And what Ty Lue did to get them to that franchise, you talk about they haven't won a championship with that franchise. They hadn't been to the Western Conference Finals, and they lost Kawhi Leonard in the series against Utah and still made it.
Right.
Bravo to Ty Lue. He knows what he's doing. He's a good coach.
Ty is a very good coach, and I agree. I think this is a good situation for Westbrook. I think that Ty hit it on the head when he said, look, if he's doing too much or if he's doing too little, I'll let him know. If he's got to stay within the confines of our offense. No one wants Russ to go in there and be OKC Russ. You don't. They don't need him to be OKC Russ. OKC Russ was a Hall of Fame player, an MVP, one of the best 75 players to ever lace him up. But OKC Russ also had a lot of deficiencies, just like LA and Washington and Houston Russ. And Rob, this notion, is Russell Westbrook the same player he was 6 years ago? No, he's not. Obviously, he's gotten older. He's lost some athleticism. He's 34 years old. He's not quite as good. But I also believe this, Rob. If Russ had his own team, like if he was a number one guy, or even a number two guy like Washington, it was him and Bradley Beal, I think he could come close to averaging a triple-double again, if not average one. I don't think he's fallen off that much. I just think what he brings to the game did not fit with LeBron James and the rest of the Lakers. And because the Lakers get so much attention and LeBron gets so much attention, Russ's bad moments and deficiencies were highlighted.
Absolutely.
Those bricks we saw, and I'm not even trying to be funny or certainly not throwing shade at him, but those bricks we saw thrown up with the Lakers, he did that in Oklahoma City.
Nobody was
shot
watching.
Air balls. He hit the side of the backboard, right? I mean, that Russ is a unique. I mean, Rob, I don't know if we've ever seen you know what? I'll say this. I'll say it this way. When you're talking about the great players, like the absolute best, the Hall of Famers, even beyond the Hall of Famers, right? Because he's top 75. I don't think anybody else in that top 75 or even in consideration for it is like him. Is that fair?
That is fair. He's very unique. There's no doubt.
I mean, he's so athletic that he went into a league full of hyper elite athletes and was dominant largely based on his athleticism. It wasn't because he can't shoot. He's a poor decision maker. Just his sheer athleticism and will and drive and intensity and competitiveness, and obviously some skills to some degree. He's a good passer, off of his playmaking. That's what's made him successful, Rob. And it didn't fit. The Lakers didn't need it. It didn't fit. And Rob, the Clippers don't need it. Like I would not, and we'll see how Ty Lue plays this. I think they said yesterday that we're not sure, we don't know if he's going to start, he's going to come off the bench. Rob, I think he's better off the bench for them. I just think he's got to have the ball because he can't shoot, so it's hard to put him off the ball. And give him the ball with that second unit. Rob, they play one of the slowest paces in the league, 25th in the league in pace. He will speed up your pace. He will create baskets for some of your second unit guys. Obviously, at times he'll be in there with the first unit with Kawhi and Paul George. But I would leave the starting lineup as it is, even though it doesn't have a true point guard. You got three guys in Terrence Mann, Kawhi, and Paul George that can handle the ball and set up the offense, and then have Russ be that second guy. That's how I'm looking at it right now. But, we'll see what they end up doing with it.
Yeah, I like it. I think that they feel like he can add something, Chris, as you said. And the best part about it is it doesn't cost you a gazillion dollars. And he's been humbled. Like, you can't even – he's been humbled. It's human nature. You could stick your chest out and say, I'm a top 75. That's all good. You've been on 5 teams in 6 years. Those are the facts.
In 5 years. 5 teams in 5 years. Yep.
Was it? Because he was the Lakers? Yeah.
Yep.
Who was – yeah.
I mean, OKC, Houston, Washington, Lakers, Clippers.
Right. And you don't count Utah because he didn't play for them, but he was on their team. Right. Okay. But you get my point is like all that pretense is gone, Chris. This ain't LeBron having a barbecue out back and telling you how much he needs you and, and all this.
Right.
Those are all done. This is more about having a chance to clean up your name, Chris.
Agreed.
In your hometown. You don't want to be the problem. You can't be the problem again. You got right? You can't be.
Well, Rob, because what you said, and I think Ty Lue's sincere, and like you said, we both agree with him. Rob, guess what they said in Houston and Washington and the Lakers when they traded for Westbrook? We want Russ to be Russ.
Right.
Heck, in Houston, he was childhood buddies and teammates with James Harden. It was all supposed to work. They all thought it would work. And then in short order, basically after a season, they all shipped him out and felt they were better off without him. And Rob, to your point, this is Russell Westbrook's chance to redeem himself.
You
don't have to go average a triple-double, Russ, to redeem himself. You give us 15 and 7 off the bench, but it's not even that. But if that's what you give us, great, whatever the numbers are. You play well off the bench, and we go deep. The Clippers, as you know, Rob, it'd be nice for them if they win the championship. That's what they want to do. They got the talent. But if they just got to the finals, if they get to the Western Conference Finals again, people would look at Russ and Rob, I think for some, they would look at it and kind of change their thinking, at least to some degree, about the previous stops. In Houston, it might be more of, you know what? I mean, Harden wouldn't share the ball with Russ. In Washington, you know what? Outside of Beal and Russ, they didn't have much. In the Lakers, you know what? LeBron, I mean, we've seen other stars struggle to play with LeBron. Maybe that was part of it too. Like, you could change all the talk where it's just Russ. Russ blew it up. Russ screwed it up. Russ messed it up. To now, maybe they didn't handle him correctly. That's exactly, what's all at stake for him.
That could be a narrative, Chris. Absolutely. If they get there and he contributes and there's no issues whatsoever, and it's in his hometown, helps the Clippers, the Lakers get knocked out or don't make the playoffs, who's looking bad now? You know what I mean?
Right. Because they, look, for the last year and a half, they have put it all on Russ. And again, he contributed. There's no doubt he wasn't great there. But all of it on him?
It wasn't all him.
He played his role. He was fine. Right.
All and you of know it on that, him? Come on. Yeah, and it was because AD and LeBron won a championship. So that was part of it. And so Russ was the new piece. So that's why you could say, oh, it's his fault. See, he can't make shots. He can't do this. He turns the ball over, some crazy shots late in games. So that they could put it on him despite the fact that AD
was that?
And
like
LeBron
you said,
also.
if you start dating a woman who likes to dress scantily, and then you marry her, and then you keep complaining, well, why don't you put some clothes on?
Put some clothes. No.
You're embarrassing me. You got all your stuff hanging out when we with my boys. We invite people over to dinner, and you got everything hanging out. You knew what you were getting into.
That's what she was dressing, Chris, when you fell in love with her.
Right. Like, come on, dude.